Welcome to Fintech Confidential, bringing you the people, tech, and companies that change how you pay and get paid. Built Memcyco software back in the 1990s and led it to a $400 million exit. And then he watched that company get acquired again at a $3.5 billion deal. Now he's back with Memcyco. This time, it's about stopping website impersonation.
Hackers and the scams are growing significantly. All the tools that protect their customers are more reactive, more threat intelligent.
The old way doesn't cut it anymore.
Who are the victims? And this is where we focus now. Everyone can do it. Phishing as a service or scam as a service. You need all of the team to work together in chemistry.
Evangelize that reality distortion field.
We want to be leader in digital trust. And if you catch it after it's happened, you need already to reimburse your customer.
They're expecting the company to prove that it's secure.
To be innovative, to believe and dream and then act. This is what you need if you want to be successful.
What is your perspective on making sure that AI stays accountable and clear enough that not only the teams, but the customers trust the decisions? Hey, Ted Huff here. Ever thought about how you could streamline your application and underwriting process? Well, let me introduce you to Under. Why keep using the outdated methods of PDFs when you can digitize them effortlessly? All you gotta do is upload the PDF, send it out for digital signature, and voila, you're set for the digital age. Are you curious on how to make that happen? Head over to under.io/FTC and get started for free. It's really that simple. Welcome to Fintech Confidential's Leaders One-on-One series, where we sit down with fintech leaders to learn about what drives their passion for fintech, their business, and leadership lessons through their life stories. I'm your host, Ted Huff, and today's guest is Israel Mazin, the CEO and co-founder of Memcyco. Israel, super great to have you on today.
Thank you for having me today, Ted. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm super excited to really dive into this stuff. And folks, today's guest, Israel, has done what most founders aim for, and he's done it more than once. He's currently the CEO and founder of Memcyco, and he built Memcyco software back in the 1990s and led it to a $400 million exit. And then he watched that company get acquired again at a $3.5 billion deal. And that kind of outcome, honestly, it takes a little bit more than timing. It takes strong leadership and a clear read on what the problem you're solving is. Now, Israel's been deep into cybersecurity for decades, and he's launched and led multiple ventures backed by high-tech startups and stayed focused on stopping threats that hurt people and damage trust. He doesn't just build these tools, he builds teams that move with clarity and act fast. Now he's back with Memcyco. This time, it's about stopping website impersonation before users fall for it. No fear tactics, no gimmicks, just real-time protection that shows users they're in the right place. Let's hear from Israel on why this problem matters, how leadership plays into solving it, and what's coming next. Israel, your track record, honestly, is truly impressive. You've consistently been at the forefront of innovation. And in light of this, what brought you into cybersecurity and what made you launch Memcyco?
So first, it's true. I am a few decades of building companies, especially in cyber. And the main reason that we built and continue to build cybersecurity companies, because the hackers and the scams are growing significantly. And we have the knowledge and the experience to protect the customers, that this is very important. All of us are accessing to banks, retail, insurance. So all of us can be scammed. And this is where we are actually focused, to protect customers of organizations from this type of scams.
It's been a couple days since Memcyco, and there's been a lot that's changed. And today we're seeing real shifts where companies are looking for tools to act before the attacks happen. And it seems like Memcyco fits right into that shift. What did you notice in the industry that other people missed that made this an obvious choice for you to go after and attack this vector?
We are protecting against not just fake sites, but also a much broader account takeover that's happening. And what we saw when we designed and analyzed and talked with many customers with our experience and our connections in the market, that they said that all the tools that protect their customers are more reactive, more threat intelligence, but still they have a lot of account takeovers. And it's very problematic. It costs a lot. It's damaged the brand. So we analyzed and understood that there is no tool that can really protect them in real time from, as you mentioned, that it will not happen. Also can predict that it's going to happen, but show who are the users that can fall to this scam, who are the users that in risks. All of these they didn't have before. They got who are the maybe fake sites, or there is a scam of account takeover, but more in general, not something that they know exactly who are the victims and who are the hackers, but especially who are the victims. And this is where we focused when we developed our solution.
One of the things that comes to mind is, the EU's DORA regulation that has come out, and the old way of protecting customers really doesn't account for a lot of the things that are in that. How are you seeing the industry move forward? That what is different now than what we were doing before?
So it's much easier to do attacks, to do scams. In the past, you needed to be more sophisticated. Now, everyone can do it. Use kits, like phishing as a service or scam as a service or whatever. Use them, pay subscription, and do it very easily. And that more and more AI are strongest in the market, the hacker starting to use AI even before the real customers, the real organizations. So this is one of the reasons that actually we see significantly increased scams and phishing attacks, especially account takeover. And this costs to organization a lot of money, much more than it was before.
You've had some pretty big exits. Let's just call them billion-dollar exits. That kind of leadership and going through that process teaches you things that really you can't learn in theory. It's one of those things where you have to live through it. What lessons have you learned from your earlier ventures that are shaping how you're building and leading Memcyco now?
You need all of the team and the management team to work together in chemistry and to complementary to each other with the strengths of each other, to listen to customers. There are many products that people developing, really very strong engineer, but at the end, there is no needs or no pain. So very important to listen to the customers, to understand what the real pain that they need to solve now. And it's also in cyber or any other product in the market. And the third thing is to have the right partners. It's very important who are the investors that with you, how they are helping you during the process, because to build a really worldwide successful company, it's very tough. It's not easy. A lot of bumps on the road. I always give Apple as an example that on 98, 99 almost went bankruptcy, and now they are maybe the largest in the world. So you need to know how to pass these bumps. And what I learned that is very critical, never give up. You need to cross walls and do the impossible to be successful.
You mentioned Apple, so I'll just continue down that route, right? So they called it with Steve Jobs, it was the distortion field. His reality distortion field was so big that it made it nearly impossible not to believe that it was going to work. And I think as you were talking about having a team that can join and understands that the reality that they can be part of is totally under their control, as long as everybody works together. And it's really cool to hear that you're leveraging a very similar approach, is build a great team and be able to evangelize that reality distortion field all the way to the edges of the team.
Yes, I agree. And this is to be successful, it's the team, it's the product, it's the investor that you have with you, the partners, also the channels that working with you. As I said, the real pain in the market, that you can solve it in a different way, innovative way. And to be successful, you always need to be innovative. You cannot say, okay, I developed this product, that's it, I'm successful. No, you need to continue. And this is a lot of mistakes that many companies doing. They develop the product, they think that it's succeed to sell some of it, and they are not continue to be innovative, and this will kill them. You must continue to be innovative.
What I wanted to do is really move into more about the mission, because there's been this super clear shift happening where the scams are getting sharper. Real people are falling for fake websites that look identical to the real thing. And just trying to keep track of that is really, really hard and nearly impossible to prevent unless you have some great tools in place.
Yep.
And that really changes the conversation. What is the real mission behind Memcyco, and why does it matter right now?
So it's a good question, because we want to be leader in digital trust space. Digital trust is the protection of all these account takeover scams that happening in this digital world that we have today, that is growing significantly every year. Now, as I said, because AI involved now, and because many more organizations mostly working online, if it's banks, retail, insurance, post offices, logistics, everyone today is more online. So it's application and web. So we see that these scams growing significantly. And the mission that we have is to be the leader in this digital trust space in the next 10 years and to build a large independent company. I believe we'll take it public like we did in the past with Memco and other companies and in the NASDAQ. But the goal is to be, as I said before, we must continue the innovation. We thinking about what will be the growth engine for 26, 27. And our mission is to develop suite of products that end-to-end solution to protect the customers of the organization. If it's like social engineering that we have already today, if it's scam sites, if it's also with fake users trying to access to application, if it's native or web application. So to provide end-to-end solution that give you detection in real time. This is very important that it's in real time. Detection, protection, and many actions to protect the customers of the organization.
Let's dive into like how important being real time is today versus maybe what it was 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, it's very important. It's very critical to be real time because the hackers are more sophisticated. They succeed to scam many more users. If you don't have it in real time, if you cannot detect it in real time and protect the users to reduce it significantly, these scams, so they will get much more losses in these organizations, because we see more and more regulations now that force the organizations to protect their user. We saw less regulation like 3 or 4 years ago. We start see it in Europe, in UK, in Australia. We'll see it also in the US. So the organization must do something to protect their customers. And this is why you need it. The only way to really protect them and detect and protect, it's real time. Also prediction, because when you are in real time, and like our product, you can know that it's a hacker, not a real user. So because it's grew significantly now, and the loss of organization, it's much bigger, they must have something. And also because of the regulation, they need to have something in real time.
Support provided by Skyflow. What if you could build fast but not break privacy? What if you could ensure data privacy, governance, and compliance with just a few API calls? What if you could worry less about PCI requirements while actually improving privacy and security? How much more time would your team have to truly innovate? How much faster could you build and ship? How much more powerful could your app be? Skyflow is a zero-trust data privacy vault delivered as an API. Skyflow's radically simple design lets you collect, secure, and tokenize personal information like card data and payment details. And with built-in features like encrypted data analysis and sharing, anonymization, and advanced governance, your days of choosing between data security and data usability are over. Whether you're just concerned with PCI compliance or need to go further to include CCPA, GDPR, SOC 2, and beyond, Skyflow has you covered. What if you could build fast but not break privacy? With Skyflow, you can. Visit skyflowsecure.com today to learn how.
There have been a lot of conversations about AI threats, deepfakes, scam sites. But what I've noticed that most of the tools are still focusing on, quote unquote, locking the doors after someone has broke in. And what seems to be happening is the need for putting the customer first and giving clarity while it counts, aka locking the door before someone breaks in, is most important. Why does a customer first model make more sense now? And how is it helping both customers and companies maintain that trust of each other?
Yeah, so now it's much more than 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, because as I said, the scammers are more sophisticated, but also using AI, as I said before. And then the losses are much bigger to the organizations. Secondly, the regulation, because they force now the organization, you need to protect your customers, you need to reimburse them if not. So they must do something, if not, it will cost them much more. But also losing customer, because today customers has much more opportunities. They can move from one bank to another very easy. They can move from one operator to another, a phone operator. They can move from retailer for sure, but jump because there are many more opportunities, online opportunities. Many years ago, there are less opportunities in online. Secondly, the hacker, many more, as I said today, everyone can be hacker. It's not hard like it was before. So completely many more scams in the market. So this is why, and if you catch it after it's happened, you need also already to reimburse your customers. And you need to pay penalties sometimes. So this is why you need to protect and detect it before they succeeded to do the scam, before they succeeded to scam the customers, because one, you need to reimburse them. Secondly, customers are more sophisticated. So they want to get if not, they're going to other brands. And they're losing customers. So today, we see it much more that they're looking for protecting and detecting before it's happening, before, as you said, they enter to the entrance and already scam the customers.
And people aren't just expecting, they don't just expect security right now. They're expecting the companies and the brands that they're working with to prove that it's secure. And I'm curious, how do you see trust becoming a business advantage in the current market to not only reduce the losses, but also increase the trust and the overarching revenues for the company?
Yes, it's very important what you said, because customers also are more sophisticated and they know better about using online platforms, like if it's banks or retail or many or other.
It's not optional anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And this is why they are afraid. I know customers, concerned to access to a brand that they don't feel secure enough. So even for creating more revenue to keep your customer, that you have less churn. If you feel that this brand is not secure enough, you're moving to other brands, so they have churn, they lose customers. So it's very important what you said. It's also to increase your revenue stream, that customer will feel comfortable to continue and do business with you, because they are more aware of trust now and more aware of security.
If you could, I would love for you to share a broader perspective on market expectations around the transparency of what's going on, as well as security and the digital interactions that both the companies and the customers are having.
Today, because of the social media, that everything immediately on the social media, if a bank got hacked or customers, lost money, or retail lost, they sell fake goods it's not the real retail. And so it's immediately on social media. Lawyers that will call them, that will contact, they put it on the social media, put their, what they think about this organization, this brand, and immediately it affects them. Many others will afraid to access. So I think that because of that, everything is open today in social media. So it's not like it was many years ago. So today, everyone can put it immediately on social media and give a ranking there, what they think about this brand. So if they'll say, this brand is not secure, I lost money there, or I actually bought fake goods, it's immediately reduce the volume and the revenue.
Hey, can you give me an example of how a team came together and aligned to solve a problem that maybe looked insignificant at the very beginning, but it turned into something that was game-changing?
Yes, for example, before we develop our solution, they haven't been in real time. They didn't know who are the users that got scammed. So you don't know if the magnitude of the scam is 5 users, 100 users, 100,000 users. So that it's much larger. Now, if you don't have this data, you cannot do anything. Now, what we also, I tell you another example. What we saw that if hacker try to hack one bank, he try to hack another bank also. It's the same one. So we develop very strong device DNA that can understand who is the hackers and who are the real users. Now, what we call is consortium that actually the customers of us, if they agree to be in this consortium, they're really excited about it. If someone access, for example, to one of our customers and hack users there, now the same one try to access and hack users of other, but before even he do something, we know, oh, this is hacker because we knew it from other banks. So we immediately report. So this is something that we learn after we release the product and start have productions in many banks in North America, Europe, Latin America. And then we saw that it's the same hackers. It's the same group, the same hackers trying to penetrate to thousands of banks, hundreds of banks. Now we can know in advance because we know the devices of them. So this is something that you learn when you are running and you have customers that already use your product.
Israel, as you were talking through all those great technology plays and how all of that works, the traditional scan and alert model doesn't cut it anymore. And as you mentioned, smarter threats get faster. We have to act faster. Looking at Memcyco's technology, that's where it seems to really stand out. It has AI at the core, and it's really built for the actual outcomes. What I would like to do is move into talking more about what that looks like in action, and really want to better understand how AI is changing the way that you do threat detection and why that shift is super important right now to get right.
So there are two type of AI. One that we have in the product to correlate between events, to filter false positive. So it's part of the product. Secondly, it's to actually detect attacks that coming from generating through AI. So it's two types that we are using and protect against AI or using AI. It's very important because when you use AI, so you can do many stuff that we couldn't do before. As I mentioned, we show incident that it's full attack. Even someone started to look on your website or your user or application or whatever, and then continue and then clone something. And then, so there are many activities that can show that there is potential attack can happen, potential scam can be created. So when you correlate between all of them and using AI to do it in the best way that will not have false positive, it's something very critical at the end to show it's 100% an attack. And I can tell you that customers that using us say that we are accurate in more than 90%, that it's a real attacks, real hackers. And this is where we're using us in the fraud engine because we have feed to the fraud engine that they can decide what to do with suspicious or real risky transactions. On the other end of the AI, that there are many AI kits today and that actually create scams. And this is where we need to have AI that know to actually detect the AIs, detect the scams, detect these kits. And we have all of this that we are in the product, and we're always expanding it because they have more and more attack vectors and more AI attack vectors that we know to detect and protect. So these are the two types that we have in our product.
Help us understand how you're pulling data from multiple systems and coordinating all the data to move the needle, and maybe share with us an example of the types of pieces you've put together, whether it's data, tech, teams, partnerships, to change the outcome for your customers.
There are many attack vectors. Let's assume that someone calling you. It's not a fake site. It's calling you and get your credential. And then later trying to access with your credential, they know to bypass multi-factor. We have AI infrastructure that knows that actually it's not the behavior of the real user that we know from before. It's not the device of the real user. It's not everything that we know about this user, so we know 100% that it's an attacker. And then we can detect and alert to the organization, and then protect that will not give this device to access to this account, for example. Another example that someone starting to investigate the website, and then after it, he clones some logo of the website to create similar website. And then he create the full website with a few images. He clone other stuff. He copy other stuff from not even all the websites. Sometimes they copy everything, sometimes, or AI kits that actually creating it automatically. We have the algorithm to detect it immediately, even when they just take something. They did something, they create something. So it's not an attack yet, but we actually put it in the incident that we are creating, that it's a potential attack can happen. And then when happen more and more of these events and action, and we, as I said, we have the infrastructure of AI to correlate to all of them, we say it's 100% an attack. And then even before he attacked the user, we attack the organization, be careful from these devices, from this, that it can, this potential websites that could going to attack your users. So even we can predict that attack is going to happen, not even before they happen.
It obviously brings like challenges to everybody, but it also brings opportunity when you bring in different data sources and combine the signals to really understand the behavior and traffic. What are some of the common challenges you see? So many different data sources coming into one place. Like, what are some of the common challenges you're running into to really filter out all the noise and really get down to the actual thing that's going on?
There are many solutions that not in real time, but they have a lot of false positive. We use AI to filter a lot of noise. What is real, what is false, and not just detect, it's to filter the false positive. It's not in the first day. It's in a few weeks, sometimes 1 month, and then we learn automatically the topology, the data, everything automatically. It's very important how to filter all the noises and then have the right, genuine one. This is why customers of us, after a few months, are accurate in more than 90% that it's the real attacks or real potential attacks.
I'm curious to how Memcyco is providing a flexible platform that allows that business to grow and scale versus slow down.
First, we are, SOC 2 compliant and also ISO and all of the ISOs. And by the way, we pass with large banks, large credit card companies, all the compliance. This is very important because this is only way that when they are using our solution, they also can comply with many other regulations that coming today to protect their customers. So they must have type of product that we have, like Memcyco, to protect their customers and to detect these scams. And they need to show it later to the regulation that they did everything that they could to protect their customers. And this will help them to grow the business much faster, because if not, the regulatory will start running after them. When you start working with this regulatory organization, of these governments and others, it's become nightmare to these customers. So they need to show that what they are using really protect their customers.
Can you dive a little bit deeper into how Memcyco is using AI to stay ahead of the attacks?
We are using in the product AI, especially because there are a lot of data that we are using and collecting. And then you need to make sure that it's a real data with all the noises around, that there are a huge volume in this type of organizations. So how to filter the noises. And this is where AI can help a lot if you use it in the right way, in the correct way, to correlate between events, to filter noises, to filter false positive, because organization using more and more AI and also hacker using more and more AI. So how you actually detect? It's more detect that this AI, that hacker that using AI kits, that actually organization that attack the organization, it's much easier for them to create these scams today and account takeover with AI. The AI kits detect the AI scams and then know to protect against them and do action against them. To use AI, you can use it positively and to do things faster, but you can use it negatively by creating faster attack and much more vectors of attacks. And this is why we need to use it also to protect against these vectors of attack, new vectors.
Now let's quickly shine a spotlight on a game changer in the financial world, Clearingworks. Simplify your financial management with a one-stop solution for all your AR needs and with a single login. Are you intrigued? Visit clearingworks.com to schedule your demo today.
Well, like you mentioned, Memcyco and other tools are out there to really help this, but the challenge that I've seen over and over again, and not just specifically in cybersecurity or fraud or anything, really is plugging them into all these legacy systems that are out there. And this is honestly where a lot of companies, especially, and I hate to do this to my friends in financial institutions, they're probably the worst at this, right? So what would you say is the key to making AI tools like Memcyco work inside of these existing legacy frameworks and at the same time keeping it truly effective?
Yeah, you see many organizations afraid to use the AI because of what you mentioned now. So the tools like Memcyco and other tools need to give them more confidence. And it will take them time also, but give them more confidence that when they are using AI, or when they open it to more broadly with using GenAI, they feel comfortable enough that they have the right tools to monitor what's happening to their users. If there are users that got scammed because using their AI also, like chatbots, just an example. Many of the chatbots, you want to use AI, but then they're afraid when they open it to AI that the user will get scammed. So this is the pros and cons, and this is why they need tools that they feel comfortable that they are the right tools that can detect it in real time if there are issues of scams. And this is where these large financial institutions that didn't use AI before and want to start use it because it will make their organization more effective. They can contact their customer more effective, but when they open it to their customers, they are afraid from these scams. So this is where, companies like Memcyco that can protect the users and get also when AI involved, it will be very critical in the mass to these customers, to this organization to use AI.
As you mentioned, getting AI involved, a lot of times I'm seeing and hearing about companies using it to make decisions. Yeah. And every time that a decision is made, the people that are having the decision made for them are really asking for more transparency. They're asking it to be ethical, aka not making a yes-no decision based upon maybe some sort of bias. What is your perspective on making sure that AI stays accountable and clear enough that not only the teams, but the customers trust the decisions?
Yes, customer trust is very important because if not, they're afraid of that their organization using AI. They need to feel comfortable enough that when their organization use AI and in the chatbot or with their connection with them, they will enough secure because there are so many articles that AI can be very vulnerable and open more doors, more scams. So users are afraid of using AI. And I think that when they believe that they are using tools that like Memcyco, that protect against scams, even when they're using AI, they will feel more comfortable to work with this organization online.
I see like this much, much bigger picture forming that's around orchestration, training, and so much more. What do you think is next for AI and cybersecurity outside of just catching the bad stuff?
After you have genuine detection, that that because you don't want to stop real users. You don't want to stop real transactions. Detection is critical. The detection must be very accurate, more than 90. If not, you will stop many users that are real users. Then we put protection. Like, okay, now what is the protection? If it's not you, and we know 190% or more that it's not the user, don't give it to access. Or give him like fake credentials to the hacker. Then you can start put protections.
look into the crystal ball here, look out and tell me, how do you see technology in this space evolving when we start talking about advanced AI, leveraging of blockchains, heck, even quantum computing, and how that is shaping what's going to happen in the future? Look really, really close into here and tell me what you see.
So I believe that because AI and Gen AI and quantum that you mentioned before, that you look in the next 5 to 10 years, we'll see many more sophisticated scams that you can do much faster, that the hackers do much faster, that you don't need to be too sophisticated to do it. And many more attack vectors, especially when using AI. The organization will use more AI in the next few years. Companies like us, like Memcyco, that succeed to grow very fast, we grow almost 3 or 4 times year over year, need to have a full solution that protect and adding more and more attack vectors that the users of the organization will feel protected and feel comfortable to do business with this bank, with this retail, with this insurance company or whatever. I think regulation and regulatory organization will completely increase the regulation when using more AI, more Gen AI. So it will make companies like us be more and more innovative. Will protect against all of this, detect and protect. Because AI will grow significantly, they will need must-have tools like Memcyco to detect and then protect their users. If not, they will lose the revenue.
How do you see quantum computing changing the way that we look at the way that we're protecting and detecting? How are you thinking about staying ahead as the quantum computing technology really starts to flip things on their head from the way that we've been looking at it?
Yeah, I believe that quantum will catch more faster than even think, in the market. And how it will change the attacks, how it will do the new attacks in the future when more and more organizations will use the quantum computing. And I think that part of what we talked about, detection and protection, must take to consideration for the next few years that also what will happen when quantum computing will be more and more in the market. And I think it will happen faster than we think today.
The companies that seem to win long term are the ones that are building a strategy to stay ahead of those reactions. What would you suggest that leadership teams do today to set themselves up for what's coming and how to future-proof their efforts?
First, they need to see how they do more proactive and not reactive. So I think organizations need to look a few years ahead and say, what are all the tools that we have today? What we need to replace that will be more not reactive and more proactive?
That is one of those things where we always want to be more proactive and really trying to get out of the reactive mode. Sometimes it's a little bit harder done than said, but it is super important. Israel, we have a lot of fintech founders that have been on the show, but also watch and listen to each episode. And what I would love for you to be able to do for us and share with those either aspiring fintech founders or current fintech founders, what is the number one piece of advice that you would give them in one sentence?
So to be innovative, to believe and dream and then act. This is what you need if you want to be successful.
So believe the dream and then act.
Yes.
Fantastic. Can you give me 3 reasons why you believe that that is the most important thing to focus on as a fintech founder?
If you don't believe, you never will be successful. If you are not a dreamer, you cannot cross walls, but then you need to execute. So you need to have the right team to execute on your dream and believe. But without dream, you cannot create the most successful companies in the world.
Israel, man, I could go on for so much more time. I've got so many more questions we didn't get to today, but I really appreciate you sharing your life experiences, your thoughts on leadership, the perspective on the technology and on the market. It really has opened my eyes to some things that maybe I wasn't thinking about before.
Thank you. And it is really a pleasure to be with you here, Ted.
And folks, that does it for another episode of Fintech Confidential's Leaders One-on-One series. Now, if you've made it this far, go ahead, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And if you haven't yet, go to fintechconfidential.com and sign up to be notified after each episode releases and for our newsletter. And as always, keep moving forward.
As we wrap up today's episode, I've got one last thing for you. If you're in the trenches fighting fraud and financial crime, you know it's a complex battlefield. That's where Hawk's AI tools for real-time payment screening, AML, transaction monitoring, and dynamic customer risk rating come into play. These aren't just buzzwords. They're game changers designed to make your compliance more effective and less of a headache. Imagine slashing through false positives with precision and giving your compliance strategy the edge it needs. Head on over to hawkai.com to sign up for a demo and discover how their platform can revolutionize how you fight fraud and financial crime.
This has been a production of DD3 Media with all rights reserved. This is provided for informational purposes only. It is not offered or intended to be used as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. We strive to provide accurate and up-to-date information, but will not be responsible for any missing facts or inaccurate information. You comply and understand that you should use any of this information at your own risk. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile financial assets, so research and make your own financial decisions.